The late 90s into the early 2000s was a very competitive time for games of the monster collecting genre. The Sony PlayStation had games such as Monster Rancher to compete with other games like Pokemon and such, and Tecmo wanted to do their own twist on how these games function, and it was modest success, honestly. It wasn't the series the kids were really talking about, but it definitely was a little relevant nonetheless. Monster Rancher did spill out to stuff like the Game Boy Color, and a game came out on that called Monster Rancher Explorer. Assuming if you've played the other games, you would think, yeah, it's just Monster Rancher on the go. Nope, not quite. It is a puzzle platformer all the way, and taking a look at it for people who have played retro games before, it's a spiritual successor to the game Solomon's Key on the NES. I'm a huge fan of Solomon's Key and Fire and Ice, so when I saw this game, it definitely caught my interest. I sat down and played this game all the way through and want to discuss if this carbon copy game is worth your time to check out or not. Pop a squat and kick back. Let's talk about Monster Rancher Explorer for the Game Boy Color. Monster Rancher Explorer came out in the year 2000 only for the Game Boy Color. It was developed by Graphic Research and published by Tecmo. I really had to scrape the internet to find out who the heck Graphic Research is. They've made some games mostly in Japan that have stayed over there. A couple we got though in America, stuff like Spellcaster for the Sega Master System. They made Speed Racer for the PS1, published by Jalico. And they made this Mickey Mouse Disneyland game that stayed on the Super Famicom. This game revolves around the character Cox. He's an explorer who's actually mentioned in the other Monster Rancher games. You're on an exploration to see what's going on in this huge tower, and there's all kinds of treasure and stuff. Turns out there's an evil mage named Nada who's locked all this stuff away, these secrets. You gotta go in that tower, go through all the rooms of the tower, get to the top to uncover the secrets and defeat Nada, and finding treasure along your way. Monster Rancher Explorer is a puzzle platformer all the way, exactly like Solomon's Key. You can move left and right on the D-pad, as well as holding down to do a duck, and holding up is how you jump in this game. You do get used to that though. Pressing A creates wood blocks, and using B will shoot fireballs. Select can summon an assist monster if you have one, and start pauses the game. Your goal is to find the key in each room, and you'll eventually find the key. It'll actually point to where it is at the beginning. You get the key, get to the exit before the time limit's over or not getting hurt, and move on. You have a lot of functionality in this game. You can create blocks, or you can make them disappear also by pressing A on existing boxes. If you duck and press A to create or break a box, you can do it diagonally from you. You'll be doing this often. Jumping up twice below a box will actually break it too, so you can use that to your advantage as well. When you start the game, you have this giant tower where you enter, as I mentioned earlier. You talk to this guard, and he lets you on in, and off you go. You get 3 lives, and you have 1-hit deaths. You lose all your lives, it's a game over. But you can start back from where you left off. If you talk to the guard, you can click on restart. Just don't click climb because they got this shit backwards. You do restart if you want to retry that last level you're on. You click climb if you want to start everything over again. Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. Your HUD at the top, it shows your score. You know, every game of this era had a score system. Beside that are your bells. Whenever you get a bell, this little pink ghost called a suzerain comes out. You obtain 10 of those, you get an extra life. Beside that are your matches, and whenever you have a fireball, it'll show a fireball slot in one of those. That just goes to show you that you have fireballs that you can use. You can have up to 3, but you find upgrades sometimes that let you carry more. You'll find treasure all the time in this game. Sometimes you'll see it, a lot of gemstones and stuff. Sometimes you'll break boxes and find treasure that way. Treasure pretty much just gives you points, that's basically all it does, and you can examine all the stuff you've collected at the start pause screen. Even though the game is a whole lot like Solomon's Key, there is a small twist with this game. So with the treasure, you actually find these things called shards, and they build these saucer stones. That's kind of the whole thing with Monster Rancher is those disc stones. It's their Pokeballs, I guess. You can find monsters in the game and obtain them, and they can be used as like a special ability that you can use once or so every time you enter a room. After acquiring a monster, you can take it back to the main hub and go to the shrine. You talk to the guy and he'll revive it for you. I'll be real, this was actually very hard to do, especially if you don't know what you're doing unless you use a guide. Truly, you can play the game without using this, to be honest with you. I did for most of the game, but they have a little bonus effect, like you can speed up time, you can clear all the enemies, you know, that kind of stuff. The other parts of your hub, you have your tower as mentioned, as well as the shrine. You have a cottage too, where you can talk to this old lady and you can save your game. There's another building where you talk to this girl, you save her about the 30th floor, and she's kind of your storage for your monsters if you do acquire those. The last part is the stage builder, and this is a really cool addition here. You can access this later in the game, and you can build your own rooms, so kind of cool if you want to get creative. There's a whole lot of enemy variety in this game, and they do a very good job with it. Some of the monsters definitely represent what they do in Solomon's Key, but they are based on monsters in this universe, which is really cool. As you play the game and see the same monsters often, you get kind of used to how they function. One of the coolest things about this game is every 10 floors or so, usually, there's a boss fight. And the bosses are really fun. They're not really hard, but you know, good old puzzle-solving bosses. It was just a really nice touch to add into the game. A good amount of enemy variety and a good boss variety too. Monster Rancher Explorer for the Game Boy Color is a fantastic game. Even though it's disguised as another game, it's still a pretty damn good one. It's got excellent level design, it has some very good challenge, which the difficulty, it does get pretty tough on the second half of the game, but very forgiving. You just kind of restart from that same room when you run out of lives. It's got a cool twist to feel a little like Monster Rancher with adding the monsters to help you with some secondary effects. It's a great handheld game and a good exclusive for the Game Boy Color. You've got good looking visuals, as well as great music to back all that up too. The only setbacks I have to say about this game are the monster stones are very hard to find. Like, it doesn't feel too rewarding to go out of your way to find them with trivial trial and error. But again, you don't really need them. Some of the menu ideas too, like the climb and restart stuff, and even saving, can be a little confusing with how they worded it. Must have been a translation issue or something. If you and a friend have a copy of this game, y'all could use a link cable to trade stage editor codes too, which is kind of cool. If you like puzzle platform type of games, and you enjoyed Solomon's Key or Fire and Ice back in the day, you really need to give this game a try. I believe it is a must play on the system. This game's stuck on the Game Boy Color, unfortunately, but it's a pretty cheap game. It's like $10 to $15 loose all day long. Sadly, this game was not released in PAL regions, so if you're going to play this game from that region, you'll have to get the North American version or play it by other means necessary. That's all I've got to say about this game. I'm gonna go get me a metal detector now and see if I can find any treasure in my backyard. Thank you guys so much for watching this video. If you have anything to say, leave a comment down below. I'd love to hear what you got to say about this game, Monster Rancher, Solomon's Keys, or other puzzle platformers. Until next time, y'all take it easy.